Welcome to the Bosworth 1485 Trail, launching on the 540th anniversary of the Battle of Bosworth Field. Over the next few moments, we'll explore the story behind this extraordinary trail, its history, creative journey, route, artworks, and the deep connection it fosters with our land, our past, and our future. The Battle of Bosworth, fought here on the 22nd of August 1485, ended the Wars of the Roses. King Richard III fell, Henry Tudor rose, a monarch died, and a dynasty, the Tudors, was born. Centuries later, in 2012, Richard's remains were discovered beneath a Leicester car park and reinterred in 2015. That moment reignited the world's fascination with this remarkable landscape. Inspired by this rediscovery, Leicestershire Promotions and Hinckley and Bosworth Borough Council, working with local communities, set out to bring history back to life, not through textbooks, but through footsteps. In 2016, a vision was born. By 2017, Broadbent Studio was chosen to turn it into art, working alongside the people of Sutton Cheney, Dadlington, Shenton, Stoke Golding and Market Bosworth.
My name's Stephen Broadbent. We've been involved in this project for about nearly 8-9 years now. I must say it's been a great privilege to get to try and understand this landscape and the different villages and the communities and all the characters that there are in this place. It's a wonderful place to have spent time in, and we have spent a lot of time around these different villages and walking through the landscape. And it's a community that's got a story, the events of the Battle of Bosworth, and they're the custodians of this story. And I think they're really very proud of that. And as a sculptor, as an artist, it is about trying to create props embedded in the landscape that help them tell that story. It's what makes us human. We tell stories, and the sculpture is an aid. It's like a peg for our imaginations. As people make their way through the landscape, they walk the story of that day, of the events of the battle and the eve of the battle. But then they think about and reflect on what that battle has meant over the following 500 years. What does it mean that we're living with truth and story and what really happened? And then, of course, the events of finding Richard and reigniting that story. So we've got a trail that gives you the events of the day, but also a universal story which takes themes that we can relate to today. They are artworks, fundamentally, that hopefully speak to us about who we are, as well as the historical context of the story.
Walk the trail and the land begins to speak. Open fields, hidden lanes, distant towers. Each scene unfolds like a chapter. Sculptures don't just appear, they arrive, deliberately placed to stir something in you. You may tread the paths of marching soldiers or pause where a king once surveyed the battlefield. Here, the memory lives not in labels, but in the land itself. This is more than a story of a battle. It's about how that battle has been remembered and reimagined, from medieval manuscripts to community-led sculpture. The full 12-mile route begins and ends in Market Bosworth, weaving through key locations like Sutton Cheney and Dadlington. You can complete it in a day or take it in chapters with waymarkers, rest stops and interpretation along the way. History meets countryside. Reflection meets recreation. The Bosworth 1485 Trail is both beautiful and profound. The calm before the storm. Sutton Cheney. In the quiet of St. James's Churchyard stands Richard III, not as a king in command, but a man facing destiny. Kneeling in white Portland stone, his cloak carved with prayers and sleeping soldiers, he invites us into his final hours, into stillness before the chaos. Approached through trees and gates, the sculpture reveals itself slowly, like a secret, a private moment made public. The storm breaks, fen lanes. Out in the open fields, the storm breaks. This abstract sculpture channels the rupture of Bosworth, when order shattered, loyalties changed, and history turned. Sharp lines and fractured forms reflect the chaos of battle, the energy of change. This isn't a depiction, it's a disruption. The Healing, Dadlington. In Dadlington's churchyard, peace returns. The Healing remembers the fallen, buried here without distinction of side. Warm and organic, the sculpture invites touch, thought, remembrance, a wound being closed, an embrace between past and present. This is where prayers were first said for both armies. The healing began here. Piecing together the past, Ambion Hill. At the Battlefield Heritage Centre, this sculpture speaks of discovery. A coin, two-faced, Richard III and Henry VII, reminds us that history has two sides. Set in oak, surrounded by symbols, cannonballs, badges, bones. This piece honours archaeology, memory, and the jigsaw of truth we're still assembling. Each sculpture is accompanied by a beautifully crafted interpretation panel, telling the story of that place, its significance, and the themes explored in the art. Additional panels across key locations like Stoke Golding and Market Bosworth complete the picture. This trail transforms the landscape into a living, breathing, cultural destination. A multi-day journey encouraging visitors to stay, explore, and invest in our local villages, supporting cafes, B&Bs, shops and attractions. Even a modest increase in tourism could bring over £14 million extra a year into the local economy. Just as important, the trail strengthens local pride, with villagers acting as storytellers, stewards, and hosts of their own history. As you walk the Bosworth 1485 trail, you walk where history happened. Through art, reflection, and community, we unlock the stories this land has carried for centuries and share them anew. This story didn't end in 1485. It's still unfolding, and now you are part of it. So come, walk the trail, discover the artworks, listen to the landscape and the people who call it home. Welcome to the Bosworth 1485 Trail.